Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Miller. Every week, I chat with fascinating people from all walks of life in order to bring you knowledge, inspiration, and insight. If you enjoy the show, you can support it by subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with a friend. This is the Jeremy Miller Podcast. Jordan Wilson, welcome to the podcast, dude. Stoked to have you here today.
So glad to be here. Thanks for extending the invitation.
Of course, man. So you are the CEO, founder of SAPS, the best canned electrolyte beverage in the world. How does that feel?
That's a bold claim. I'll take it.
Is there any other canned electrolytes out there? Or are you guys the only ones? I've never seen any others.
There's a couple. Yeah, it's been interesting to try and figure out like why everyone stayed away from cans in this space. I think everybody's mind has always gone to like, oh, sports drink, it needs to be resealable. There's a couple popping up here and there, but yeah, we're definitely early.
What made you guys decide on a can rather than a regular bottle like Gatorade or something?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different reasons. Mainly like just to be different. So it's so hard to stand out and be different in this space. And you think about like what liquid death did to water, and you walk down the aisle now, it's just like it's a billboard, right? It looks great. It stands out because everybody else is in a plastic bottle. And so we wanted to do kind of a similar thing to the sports drink world. There's also too, like, there's just something about feeling like, I mean, this is where the puck's going. We're skating to that, and it's opened up some doors because we're not in plastic. We wanted to shy away from that, and it's given us some great opportunities.
I love that. It definitely has like a unique look and feel. Like the brand itself, it's so like retro. Like I'm assuming that was all intentional for the idea of like, how do you stand out on the shelves, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, when I was thinking about creating this brand, I was thinking about some of the experiences I've had in like old golf courses, more traditional places. A lot of them have canned Gatorade, and there's just something like, I don't know, there's something different about drinking Gatorade out of a can. And we're like, all right, let's kind of capture that vibe, this retro classic vibe.
I've never seen Gatorade in a can. Do they still make it? It's just like in select.
They still make it. Yeah. It's hard to find.
Interesting. Dude, yeah. I feel like everything tastes better out of a can.
Yeah.
For the most part. It's like you've probably had like Coke out of like a bottle versus a can versus like a plastic bottle.
Yeah.
And like it tastes different. It for sure changes the like composition of it.
Well, especially when it's really cold, and it almost feels like it's easier to get it pretty chilled faster in a can. So
I love that. Also, you made a hockey reference a second ago. Did you play hockey growing up?
No.
Oh,
no.
Dang. I was like, damn, that was my sport. I was like, I didn't know you're a hockey player. Anyways.
No, I don't think there was a whole lot of hockey going on in West Texas. So.
Okay. Is that where you grew up at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Midland.
Dang. And then you lived out like down south, right? Like southeast, like Georgia, Alabama area, right?
Yeah. So 0 to 18 was in Midland. Decided to go to Auburn for undergrad and just kind of do something different. And after Auburn, with like a brief stint in Ohio and here in Austin, pretty much I've lived in the Southeast until I'm back now. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Have you always had this like entrepreneur kind of brain and passion, or where does that come from, you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's really interesting to think about like how, small little things kind of shape your path as you're growing up. Mm-hmm. But my dad was self-employed some when I was younger, and just kind of seeing him go through that. But also like, I can remember telling my dad when I was a kid, like, I want to invent something. Like I want to be an entrepreneur. I went off to college, started a business when I was in school there. That's a good call.
Yeah. Get that nice crack. What did your dad do for work?
My dad was a geologist. So yeah, Midland is a lot of oil companies. He did kind of self-employed geology work for a long time. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't know, like I just had kind of like this desire to do something more independent. Started a business in college, had a lot of fun with that. And then
what was that business?
It was a t-shirt business. I mean, I feel like most people have started a t-shirt business in their life, but me and my buddy, we were we felt like we were kings on campus because everybody was wearing a product. Like it was just
cool.
a lot of fun.
It's either t-shirts or like mowing lawns, I feel like.
Yeah.
It's like such an easy thing for high school, college kids to get into.
Well, I was working a job in the summers of Auburn delivering mattresses to people and just sweating my butt off, carrying up Tempur-Pedics up flights of stairs. I was like, there's got to be a better way to make some money. So
have you had many like employee type jobs, or have you always kind of made your money from being self-employed or self-sufficient?
Yeah, my first job out of college was with a bank. I was in the like corporate training program kind of thing. And within about 2 months, I knew it was not for me. It was like mixing oil and water. It just was not a fit. And so I spent the rest of the program was a year. I was like, what am I going to do? I don't know. And had a mentor at the time kind of like advised me on, hey, you should check out this business school. It's called Acton School of Business. It's in Austin. It's focused on entrepreneurship. Like they're kind of growing entrepreneurial leaders.
That's like a private school, right?
Private, yeah. Okay. Real small. It was actually started by some guys that were professors at Macomb's, UT's business school. Essentially, they like started a side class of entrepreneurial education, and all the UT students were like filling up the auditorium every night. And so they said, yeah, all right, we're gonna like do something different, disrupt education a little bit, and start this business school.
That's cool. I think if it's the same one I'm thinking about, don't they have like an elementary school now too?
Yeah,
like
yeah. So
levels?
they built this like crazy like franchised K through 12 school program where essentially if you wanted to operate a school, you could buy the rights and put the school wherever. There's probably, I think they're like international now. They're all over the place.
Damn, I love that. I love that there's like other options for kids to not go to just like the public school system.
Yeah.
And like it's focused on being more entrepreneurial, like learning business and like the more practical things that are going to apply to your life outside of like whatever you learn in public school.
Oh yeah, totally. So I mean,
cool.
I think it's so critical now in the time we're in. I mean, not only is just public education not great anymore, it's also not really teaching super relevant things. You think about how fast every industry is moving right now. Giving people that are young the freedom to kind of learn what they want to is awesome.
Damn. What led you to SAPS after all these different kind of things? Was it just like this culmination of all these different experiences? You're like, okay, SAPS is it, or what led you to SAPS?
So I knew I always wanted to start something. So post Acton, I worked for a couple different startups, and really my mind was thinking, I want to be in men's apparel. I'd always been just really interested in apparel. It was this kind of joining of like creativity and analytical thought. Just enjoyed clothing in general. And so worked for a company out of Atlanta called Onward Reserve, was there for 3 years, and really just during that time saw how difficult that space is to compete. It's just brutal. And so not that other spaces aren't, but I think that's one of the harder industries to get into.
The margins are like tiny, right?
The margins can be good. It's more the capital. It's, all the inventory you have to carry, the amount of SKUs. You can just get in over your head quick because if you don't move stuff and with seasons factored in and all these different trends, like you can get in some trouble quick. And so I left that and I started doing some consulting, independent consulting. And one of the first clients I picked up was a beverage brand, and they had a lot of potential. We're growing pretty quickly in Atlanta, and just saw an opportunity and jumped on board with them.
Dang. What was your role with them?
I was a COO over there. Yeah. Nice. So got involved pretty early, and that was really where I learned like the CPG space. I didn't have a whole lot of exposure prior to that.
Interesting. So what was like some of the big takeaways from working for that company? Was it like you just learned like, shoot, I could do this on my own if I wanted to? Was that kind of the big takeaway?
Yeah, I think that, I think just that was really the first business where I was at the ground level, and then was there until they kind of reached some success and higher revenue numbers, and really just learning what it takes to like grow through those different phases. So I was responsible for setting like all the all the structures in place, like how do we operate as a company? How do we incentivize people? How do we set goals and like constantly kind of have this like trickle down effect of like big corporate vision and impacting kind of the lowest level employees. And so that was just an incredible experience to put together a lot of this like theory that I had learned into a very practical thing. Okay. And the industry as a whole is just fascinating to me. Like going back to this idea as a kid, like wanting to invent something, that's kind of what you're doing, right? Inventing this and making something that you know is going to help people feel better, be healthier, et cetera, is, you know, I think that's like a really cool calling to go after. So
yeah, I love that. It is so fulfilling to go work at a small company like that, or like to get in on the ground floor at a company and have so much influence and like so much sway, I guess, and like the way the company goes, because there's, you know, only a handful of employees, or it's like the company's still so small that like, you know, one of your decisions can have a drastic effect on the future of the company. It's a lot of pressure, and it's like the startup culture is crazy because of that. But yeah, it's so much more fulfilling, I feel like, versus being in like a huge corporate company with like tens of thousands of employees, and it's like you're just a cog basically, where it's like if you don't do your work for the day, it doesn't really matter necessarily because there's 50 other people doing the same thing as you. I don't know. I love that. So what made you guys choose like electrolytes specifically versus like coffee, which is, I know, like a huge trend now, I guess, and teas, all these different like kombuchas. Yeah. There's so many drink options out there. What made you guys pick electrolytes?
It was the space I knew. I mean, that was the company I was a part of was another electrolyte company. But beyond that, I just feel like we haven't peaked out yet in this category. Like it's growing really fast right now. It's the number one thing people are looking for in functionality. And there's just not a lot of good, healthy electrolyte-based products out there, largely because you've had these massive companies just dominating the space for so long, and they like own the shelf. They're very hard to compete against, and they're just pumping their products full of crap that people shouldn't be drinking.
Yeah, like Gatorade is like 30 grams of sugar or something insane.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes more than that. Yeah. And sure, like they're kind of reading the market right now, right? They're like reducing sugar, coming out with more electrolytes, et cetera. But there's still, I don't know. It's like, it just feels so fake, right? It's like if you actually cared that much about people's health, why wouldn't you change everything?
It's all profits.
Right.
Dude, I laughed so hard when I saw Gatorade came out with, I think they called it Gatorlyte. It's like Gatorade electrolytes. And I'm like, I thought Gatorade was already supposed to be electrolytes. Why do they have a specific electrolyte product? Like, what is Gatorade then if it's not electrolytes? Right. And it still has, I think it's like sucralose, or still has a bunch of sugar in it or something, but I think maybe they just added more electrolytes.
Yep.
And it's like this whole new product. I'm like, the sugar, like, I'm sure you've seen the videos where people dump out, like, they'll literally measure out like 30 grams of sugar and compare it to the can. It's like half the can sometimes. Mm-hmm. Like a soda or whatever is just as bad as a Gatorade most of the time.
Yeah.
And the cool thing with SAPS, obviously, is it's zero sugar, right?
Zero added sugar. Yeah. So we've got some natural coconut sugar in there. We use coconut powder as the base. And yeah, I think the purpose of having that in there is obviously like when you're burning a lot of energy, you're wanting to drink one of these. It helps to get a little bit of carbs, but it also helps your body absorb those electrolytes a little bit faster. So
yeah, dude, the ingredients are so good on these. Like, obviously, like the no sugar thing is huge, but just all the other things seem so intentional, like the mushrooms and like the ginseng and like all the other additives. Like, is it a big process to like get all those individual ingredients into a drink, or is it easier than you'd think, or what is that process like? Because most of these big companies, they have like a handful of products. Half of them are just like cheap shit, like sugar.
Right. It's relatively easy to, decide, okay, I want this ingredient, this level, this ingredient, and so on and so forth. But to actually execute it in a way that's economical and tastes good, that's the whole other part. But also, like, so many of these brands in our space, you really can only be successful if you're kind of pitching like, this is what we do, this is what we're good at. It's very hard to sell a product that has all these different functional benefits and just kind of focus on one, which we're just focused on hydration, even though I know at the end of the day, like there's all this stuff in here that the average consumer would be better off if they were consuming every single day.
What do you think the demand is coming from? Like, why do you think there's so much demand for hydration and electrolytes? Because like Liquid IV blew up.
Yeah.
All these other different hydration companies are just getting so popular. What do you think is causing that?
Part of it is younger generations are smarter when it comes to like this health stuff. They can kind of see through like the Gatorade and the Cokes of the world and the stuff they've been doing. And they want better for you ingredients. It's more relatable to them. But I think part of it is really the last like 3 years or so, just a lot of, health issues with people, the pandemic happening, like people just care more now about what they're putting in their body.
That makes sense. Yeah. Obviously a lot of negative came from the pandemic, but I think so much positive came from it too. Like just more awareness of health, like exercise, diet, all these things, because it was like clear that not to go too far down this, but like it was so clear that the people that were dying, getting sick were like the ones that were unhealthy, that were eating shit diets, not drinking water, not drinking electrolytes, they're drinking soda or a Gatorade, whatever, and then not exercising. So that's cool. I hope that this trend, I hope it's not a trend and it's just like an actual, shift in culture and people being more open and aware of this kind of stuff. So I don't know. I love that.
Yeah, I don't see it as a trend. I don't think it's going away. The key is going to be, can these healthier, better for you brands make stuff that actually tastes just as good as the bad stuff?
Yeah.
Which is really hard. I mean, I don't know if there's some great example brands out there that are doing it, but it's pretty hard to do because a lot of our taste buds are trained to crave that stuff. So.
Yeah. We're all trained on like fat, sugar, and salt, basically.
Yeah.
And sugar's the one. That's tough. Interesting. Okay. Where did the name Saps come from?
So we wanted something that's like retro sounding, a little bit shorter, easy to remember, nothing that was like straight electrolyte. There's a lot of brands that are like LYTE out there. We didn't want to do that. Just didn't fit the brand. And one of the older meanings of the word is active strength of body and mind. And we really liked that definition because there's stuff in here that's not only fueling your body, giving your strength to your body, but also for your mind. And kind of just speaks to who we are as a brand that cares about getting people outside, moving, being active. We think that's great for not only your physical health, but your mental health.
I love that. Is it like a Greek or like Latin or something?
Just like saying somebody's full of sap, they're full of life.
Oh, okay, yeah. That makes sense, dude. I love the name. It's like because it makes you like stop and think about it for a sec. Like, whenever I hear it, sometimes I'm like, I think of like tree sap for some reason, but it's like not like tree sap's good. Like I've never tried it, but like you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's like a natural.
It's like a natural. Yeah. Like I'm sure it's sweet or something. I don't know. That's a dumb analogy, I guess. I don't know, dumb correlation, but I love the name. I love the branding so much. It's like it has such a cool, unique feel to it. And you guys are like, I know running is a big part of your customer base, right? But like you guys also lean into like pickleball, I know, tennis.
Yep.
Did you guys have any intentions when you launched it of like, okay, we're gonna go hard into running or go hard into pickleball or whatever, or was it just kind of like see where it goes?
I had my theories on what was going to work. And so much of these early days are just like testing stuff. Like I didn't think this was going to take off with runners. I had no idea. I mean, it makes sense, but it was not kind of that first demographic I was thinking we would go after.
Right.
And so over time, doing stuff with you, doing stuff with other running clubs, it just became more and more clear. Like this is a awesome thing. We need to just keep going after this. I think like the post-run saps enjoyment, it's almost like cracking open a beer, drinking it with your friends. Like there's something very like social to that. The product tastes really good after you go for a run. And so, yeah, we're just going to keep tapping into that.
Dude, I had a speed workout like 2 weeks ago and it's been so hot here in Austin. Obviously I literally came home. I'm not even making this up. I chugged back to back 3 of them because it tasted so good and I was so hot and I was just so thirsty. Like literally it was within like 5 minutes probably, just chugged 3 of them. But that's a good point though. Like that's one of the coolest things about running to me is like you can get that social aspect of like you get people together, you get to talk, you get to meet new people, whatever. But you don't have to like destroy your body by going out to the bars and drinking because that's like the most popular way to socialize obviously is to go out and have a drink with somebody. But running you can do that, and then with something like this is like you get that same kind of, it's like scratch that itch of like drinking something, especially because it's out of a can. So that makes perfect sense why it's been so popular with runners, I'm sure.
I think hop water is tapping into that same I mean, I love that product and I'll drink it sometimes if I'm like craving a beer and that sounds good. So I think there's something to that it maybe is subconsciously kind of hitting people. Do
you guys think you'll ever make another flavor or other products or anything? Because right now we've got 3 flavors.
3 flavors, yeah. Man, there's a lot of potential to extend the brand into other things. I'm really interested in exploring the idea of like a 12-ounce can, potentially changing the formula a little bit. This thing starts as a powder, so we could always kind of parlay into a powder. But yeah, there's a lot of innovation happening behind the curtains.
I love that, dude. I think the like single serve packets of powder would crush for runners because it's like if you're trail running, it's like you put some of those in your thing. You can fill up your flask from a stream, pour some electrolytes in there, or if you're traveling, it's easier to take with. Obviously, you can't take this on an airplane. So there's so many benefits to that, but I mean, like you guys have the formula locked down, which is cool. If this is too like, there's like trade secrets we're talking about here. You don't have to answer it, but like, what is the process for somebody if they wanted to start their own beverage company, like step by step? Again, if there's like secrets and stuff you can't tell, obviously, then don't. But like, cause I'm sure somebody listening to this would be like, man, I've always wanted to start a beverage company or like some sort of product based business, like, but I have no clue where to start. Guide us through that.
Well, the first step is just getting ready, making sure you're mentally prepared for it, because it's a grind. It's definitely not for the faint of heart, and making sure you have plenty of capital. It's not cheap either. But beyond that, I mean, you have an idea. Generally, what you do is you would approach like a flavor house, is what they're called, and so you could essentially say, "Hey, I want to make a better for you Gatorade. Here's my ideas. Like, I want it to taste like this. I want it to have these label claims, etc." And then that kind of starts the process of just going back and forth, constantly like tweaking the formula, dialing it in, getting the taste right. And then once you have that, you've got a formula, then you just got to go find people to make it and figure out ways to sell it.
I love that. It's really not that complicated. I mean, break it down like that.
No. As
long as you have some grit, some cash up front of some sort.
Yeah.
And then a good idea. I mean, that's really all you need, I guess, right?
There's been, I think because the bar has been lowered so much in beverage the last few years, like there's been just a plethora of new brands. That's why you're seeing all these new alcoholic, like canned cocktails coming out every day. I'll be curious to see what happens the next couple of years, because I think it's like 95% of beverage brands never make it past 5 million in sales or something like that. Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah.
Because there's so many. Like you go to Whole Foods or any grocery store, there's like an entire like 100-foot long shelf of all of these drinks.
Yeah.
It's like obviously not all of them can survive. Interesting. Damn. How did you guys go about, again, if this is too personal, don't answer it, but how did you guys go about funding the business? Or if you were to do it again, how would you fund the business?
Yeah, so after I left the last company, my business partner in this, approached me. We went to grad school together. His name's Trey. He's awesome. And was like, "Hey, I want you to run this business. I'll kind of put up capital up front." And yeah, essentially that's how it started. We've been raising money this year, and knock on wood, I think we're about done. So
nice.
Yeah, that was kind of like I think like this wouldn't have been possible if I didn't have Trey step in and really take the reins on some stuff.
Have that upfront investment.
Yeah.
When you guys are raising funds now? Are you going like VC or like private equity or just like private individuals? Or how are you guys going about that?
Man, this was my first time raising money, so
I have no clue what that process even looks like.
I'm sure I made a lot of mistakes along the way. A lot of good learning lessons. We've talked to definitely like plenty of VCs. The market this year has been interesting. There's a lot of pullback on early stage, and so we really just didn't get too far with VCs. A lot of people were like, "Hey, super interesting. I love what you're doing. Get a little bit farther. Call me once you're."
Did they give you like a revenue mark that you have to hit?
More or less, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been a lot of like friends and family getting involved, high net worth individuals, that kind of stuff.
Nice. So definitely bootstrapped.
Yeah.
That's I think that's the best way to go about it, in my opinion. What's been the hardest part about growing this business so far? Like, 'cause I've heard from people that are in this type of business that it's just like constant, like just getting kicked in the ass, basically.
Yeah, it's gut punches every day for sure. No, I think like just trying to build momentum. Like you just want to get small wins and kind of start constantly just learning how to make this product sell better at a random C-store down the street, or how to what language to use when you talk about the product. Like it's just constant kind of improvement. And so that's really the phase that we've been in, is just constantly like tweaking and dialing and like treating it almost like a science experiment.
What is because your official role is CEO,
Mm-hmm.
right? What does like a typical day in the life look like for you?
Well, the key to having a good day for me, I've learned, is I have to get up and I have to go to the gym first thing, or I'm just not gonna be a good day. So my employees, if you're listening, if I'm in a bad mood one day, it's probably because I didn't go to the gym.
That morning movement's essential, man.
It really, it's a game changer.
You have
So
to.
I try and get that done, come home, have some journaling, quiet time. Then I just start, my supplement routine, which SAPS is a part of that now. Athletic greens, get some protein. And I just, at that point, it's like, all right, it's game time. Let's go. Usually try and avoid calls in the morning, just so I can get really like focused work done in the morning. And then, it's been a lot of calls lately, which is great. It's all like really exciting stuff. It's kind of moving the ball forward, stuff we need to do. But yeah, it's a lot of meetings, phone calls. I love getting out in the market every now and then, just to learn. Like it's funny, you go into like a random gas station and the owner often is there like in the morning, and he'll just shoot you straight. He'll be like, yeah, your product sucks. Like no one likes the taste of it. It's not selling. Your marketing sucks.
Have you heard that from somebody?
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so surprising.
Which it's so funny. It's like, well, this account down the street is doing really well. Like you kind of have this back and forth. You almost talk to them like, yeah, like, sure, I'll take your shit, but I'm going to throw some shit back at you too. Like, what are you actually doing?
Yeah.
What's your price point? Like, are you even stocking the product in the right place? That's actually one of the more fun parts of this job is going out to the market, I think.
How often do you do that?
I try to do it at least once a week. Like I feel like it keeps me kind of grounded and in tune with who our customer is in a lot of ways. Like, again, we're so early, so figuring out these different levers we can pull, what like POS to put on the shelf that's making a difference, like that stuff can really magnify when you start scaling out across a lot of accounts.
Do you guys get to choose, like, say you go into a grocery store or a gas station, do you get to choose like, okay, we're going to be between Gatorade and Powerade, like, or is that up to the owner of the retail store?
It's definitely up to, so if it's a chain, it's up to the chain buyer, like where they want to put you. Usually in a random C-store, they're just throwing you in whenever they have space. So, especially with a brand like us, the mass market brands, they kind of own those coolers. And so you're not going in next to them, which is where we want to be at the end of the day. But, you got to work your way up there.
What made you guys decide? Well, I guess you guys do some D2C, some direct to consumer. Like, is the majority, is the ultimate goal to like be fully retail? Like will you always keep the D2C portion?
Yeah, I think retail will be about 80% of the business long term, and online 20. It's good to have, like, what we have found and noticed is when you launch into a new city, so like say Dallas, somebody starts drinking the product, they like it. A lot of times they want to be able to just buy online. So you're always going to have that, and it's good to have that there for customers.
Because you guys are Amazon and then your own website, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Because I don't see many like ready to drink beverages like this where they do online. It's almost like, it seems exclusively like in retail. Is that common for a drink like this? Yeah,
I think like, the trends are pretty staggering. Like grocery buying online is ramping up like crazy. So okay. It's definitely still a thing. I think Olipop's probably doing half of their business online, and they're huge. So it's not the most like economical thing from a shipping standpoint, but it's good to have that presence.
Right. And I'm sure, yeah, it's got to be tough. Do the margins make a difference? I'm sure you guys have slightly better margins online.
Yeah, totally.
But it's just harder to get somebody to buy a product like this online versus like walking to the grocery store, right?
Yeah, you're buying a 12-pack. That's kind of like if you don't like it,
right,
you're in $40
that makes
at that
sense.
point.
It's more of an investment.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but you guys do it's the 3-pack sampler, right?
Yeah.
Where you guys gonna do that forever, you think, or for this foreseeable future?
Yeah, we don't make any money off of that. It's really just a way to kind of introduce the flavors to people and get people on board.
What's that process like getting into retail stores? Is it challenging to get into these different spots?
It is, but not as challenging as it is to make sure it moves off the shelf. We have some really talented sales guys on the team, have a lot of experience, and so they've been good at figuring out ways to open up new accounts. And it helps when you have a distributor too. Like they've got sales reps on the ground that are going into accounts every day to open doors for you.
Because you guys are, didn't you guys just open in another city? Like get into another city?
Yeah. So our Texas distributor covers the whole state for us, and they just opened up Dallas Fort Worth for us.
Dang. So Austin and Dallas so far?
No, we're in Houston, Dallas Fort Worth. We're in parts of West Texas too. So it's, if you live out in Midland, you're listening to this, there's like 2 accounts.
I was going to ask about Midland.
No.
That's the hometown, right?
Yeah. No, I gotta represent out there.
That's awesome. Is it mostly like grocery stores, or is it like gas stations, or just like a combo of each?
It's a combo. I think we're probably in probably 60% gas stations right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Dude, this is a perfect gas station drink. Like on a road trip or something.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I would love to just walk into like any gas station and pick up one of these. What is it? Is it harder to get into like H-E-B or like Whole Foods? Like, is it like Walmart, for example? Is it like the bigger the chain, I'm assuming it's harder to get into, or is it like, because I know you guys are in a lot of local stuff too, but what's that look like?
Not necessarily the like bigger from a store count standpoint, but just from a amount of money one store is doing. So like H-E-B, their stores make so much money. It's wild.
Really?
And so they're kind of like at the pinnacle of, if you get an H-E-B, it's a really big deal. A lot of retailers follow them or do what they're doing. And so yeah, it's quite challenging, especially because there's always like one buyer for your category. They're the final decision maker. It doesn't matter who you know within the company. Like you got to go through that buyer. And they're hard to get a hold of. So
why do you think H-E-B is so successful? Like, I feel like every time I'm driving around Austin, I see a new H-E-B pop up. Or like, even we live up in Georgetown, and there's like a new one that just opened up, but there's literally one across the street. I'm like, what's wrong with this one? They just built an entirely new, brand new one. I'm like, why? Like, why do you think they're so successful?
Oh,
is it like the loyalty of Texans? Or?
That's a huge factor for sure. It's kind of similar. So when we lived in the Southeast, we shopped at Publix a lot. It's kind of similar to that. Like, it's a good shopping experience. It's usually clean. Prices are good. People are friendly. But I think H-E-B is, it is like the Texas grocery store. It just screams Texas. Their guacamole is actually good. Like their handmade tortillas are good. So,
dude, their tortillas are so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All their like hot bar kind of stuff, like the fresh food they make. It's pretty dang good, especially going to like Walmart. Like, I mean, Walmart's great for like very basic stuff, but I mean, HEB like has pretty competitive prices, I feel like.
Oh yeah, they're one of the best at kind of looking out for the customer. So
are you guys in HEB yet?
No, we are. Fingers crossed. We've got, so a lot of times with just chains in general, like there's a buying cycle kind of seasonality to things. So usually you're not just going to like get in on a random date. There's, meetings that have to happen over a set period of time because they have to basically say, all right, this product's not performing that well. We gave it a year and we're going to now replace that product with yours. And so there's kind of a system to it. And so we're coming up, the next couple of months are really critical. We're, doing all that we can to get into the right doors.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, there's only so much shelf space, right? So it's like they can't just be adding in new products. They have to replace products. What do you think would be like would they replace you with another sort of electrolyte product, do you think? Or would it be just some other kind of beverage that's they can swap you out with?
Potentially, it's a lot of times it just depends on the chain. Like they'll group together functional beverages, and that may be hydration, caffeine, etc. So yeah, it just depends.
Interesting. There's so much involved with all this stuff. It's so wild.
Yeah, it's wild how much goes into every single little detail that's in a grocery store. You just don't think about it until you're in the space.
Yeah, I mean, even like outside of just the retail stuff involved with the brand like this, like there's marketing, there's like ambassador stuff, there's like operations, there's the manufacturing. There's just so much that goes into this kind of thing. How many employees do you guys have all together?
So I have myself, VP of sales, who lives down in Houston. Mike is his name. Brett, another sales guy, lives here in town. Joseph, who he's awesome. He does all our social community management.
He kills it.
Yeah. He lives here, and then Lauren is in charge of marketing for us. She lives in Atlanta.
Nice. You guys are all over the place. So everybody's remote, right?
Yeah, we're pretty remote.
That's cool. That's crazy that you can start a business like this, and everybody can be remote essentially.
Yeah. Well, it honestly, I wish that we could all just like come together and kind of work together in some ways. I think that would help with chemistry and just getting stuff done. But no, it has its benefits.
Yeah, there's probably like a big savings, I'm sure, on like leasing an office space and everything else involved with like having employees on site, right?
Yeah. I mean, we essentially want to outsource all the back end operations as much as you can, and then focus on sales and marketing with your people internal. So
is there any intention of building like a big SAPS HQ eventually?
No. Well, the ideal scenario, of course, this is probably not financially responsible, is to have like a badass old house on the east side of Austin, put like a pickleball court in the back, like just have it kind of this hangout, scene where, yes, we like get work done here, but we also have, all these like social events there too.
That'd be cool. Damn. Is pickleball your sport?
No.
No?
I if that's my sport, then I just need to retire.
Is it pickleball just because like it's becoming more popular, like more trendy? Is that like?
Oh, you're saying for SAPS or for me?
Well, both, I guess.
Oh,
because I know you guys like. Don't you make paddles for pickleball?
Yeah, no, I think like the growth of pickleball is undeniable. You can't ignore it. So, it makes sense for us to go after it, and we've had some really cool like people in the pickleball world reach out. So yeah, like I think. It's working with runners like you, fitness athletes like Eric Hinman, and then club sports, so golf, pickleball, tennis. Those are really where we want to live.
That's cool. Yeah, this seems like a perfect thing for tennis, pickleball, golf.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously running too. How intentional were you guys, I'm assuming very, with like the like design and like the placement of everything on the can? Like, because obviously with the idea to like stand out on the shelf, how much thought went into that kind of stuff for like the actual can design?
Yeah, quite a bit. We worked with a guy named Sean Curran, lives here in Austin, super talented designer, to put together a lot of it. And yeah, I mean, it was a lot of phone calls between me and him, just like going back and forth, tweaking stuff. And we're still, this is SAPS 1.0. We've got 2.0 in Nashville right now.
Nice.
And then we've got a few more changes to make on the label. So
really, like what are you guys changing up?
Well, like some of this stuff is too small. Like the nutrition panel is too small. This text here on the front's too small. And so we've had some people say like, oh, this looks too much like an energy drink. Like they didn't know it was a sports drink. Okay. And so we're just adding some more clarifying language to make it more clear what it is.
Okay. And I guess the like plant powered performance, that almost, I guess it makes it sort of sound like an energy drink. I suppose.
Like that could go either way.
Right.
Yep.
And there's no caffeine, right?
No caffeine.
Okay. Interesting. Dude, it blows my mind how much goes into like, I mean, any business, but just there's so much involved. Like, how do you handle all this?
Just take it one day at a time, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. How does my wife handle it is a better question. I think I'm driving her crazy. No, you got to take it one day at a time and remind yourself like why you're doing this, why this stuff matters, and just try and not get too affected by the bad and the good that happen.
Yeah. What, on days where you're like, why am I even doing this? What's the point? Like, I'm assuming you might have those days from time to time when you're just, getting punched. What like keeps you going? And like, what's like that motivation in that moment to like keep pushing forward?
I would say, I mean, first thing is like, I'm just a super competitive person. And so I want to win. Like, I just want to kind of prove myself right on this. I think did you watch the new Steph Curry documentary? It's really good. You should check it out.
It's on like Netflix or something?
It's on HBO. But the whole thing is like all his motivation is about proving himself right. It's not about proving other people wrong, which I think is kind of a cool way to think about things. Yeah. But so I think that's part of it. But also, you just start thinking about like what the like good that can come out of it beyond just for yourself, for your employees, for people that I think like you need this product in your life. Like that's motivating. And then when you start thinking about like what else would I be doing right now if I wasn't doing this? There's nothing else I'd want to be doing right now. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. That idea of like just proving yourself right. It's like, I love the saying, like how you do anything is how you do everything. And it reminds me of that of like, if you tell yourself you're going to do something, then do it. Like, and it's like, if you quit on one thing, then it creates this cycle of just like habitually quitting on things when they get hard. And it's again, like more powerful to try and not let yourself down than other people. But it also is powerful. Like when you have, employees relying on you or like your family, it's a lot of pressure. Mm-hmm. Do you, here's an interesting question. After SAPS, like your time as SAPS is done, say 30 years, however long it takes till you're done with SAPS.
I hope not.
Like what is, like, do you think you want to keep doing this and like keep inventing these things and building up businesses, or like helping out other people that have like kind of done the groundwork? Like what's your kind of ultimate goal?
It's a great question. I love the like creation of this and just the things that you go through to kind of figure it out. I think it's a really fun process. It would be super cool to mentor other people trying to figure that stuff out themselves. There's going to be other projects I want to work on too. I know. So it may not be in CPG. Like I'm involved with a nonprofit that sells coffee, and all the proceeds go to a good cause, and like, working on stuff like that. Like that's, I think like there's plenty of things that I find interesting that I could go do beyond just beverage.
Yeah. What's your favorite part about like building up a business like this? Is it just the idea of like growing something and like nurturing it and, pulling on these different levers to see what's going to help its growth? Is that what it is? Like what's your favorite thing about it all? Yeah,
it's the challenge, but it's also the thrill of getting the wins. Gosh, it's like a drug, man. And, I think like, you walk around town, you see like somebody drinking your product, you see it on the shelf. You're like, dang, that is so cool. I created that. And that person is enjoying it. They don't even know me. And I don't know. It's just a cool feeling.
That's got to be so gratifying.
Yeah.
And just fulfilling. Dude, I love that. I love just like the entrepreneur spirit of like creating something from nothing and putting it out into the world and having it benefit people's lives. There's like, in my opinion, there's not much else that's more fulfilling than that.
Yeah, it's up there, man. You know, having a healthy marriage and family, it's up there with that. So
I said one of the best things, not the best thing.
Yeah.
How do you balance, like, I've kind of talked about it a little bit, I guess, already, but like, I know you've got a wife and a kid, this, like your fitness. Again, I'm sure there's some days where it's just like, this is a lot. How do you go about like balancing all that, I guess? I guess we sort of already talked about that, but I'm curious, like, do you have like times you cut off, like, okay, no more working on SAPs for the day after like 5 p.m. and that's like family time? Like, how do you structure things like that?
I'm not a rigid person. So I've tried to do that. Like I've tried to set, super rigid, okay, this hour is going to this hour is going to that. And it just doesn't work for me. And so what I've found is, it's really like looking at it from like a week or a month perspective. Like I know that, on Tuesday nights I can like work later and grind to a later time in the night. But like I can't do that every single night. I need to also pour into other relationships. And so, maybe that is like closing the laptop at 5 on Thursday. So I think it's really trying to, at the end of the day, like evaluate how the day go, like what did I learn from this? What am I grateful for? What were the highlights? And just kind of like, building upon that, 1 week at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, man. It's a lot. It's a lot to handle. I feel like it's just I'd say this from like, I've talked to a lot of CEOs and stuff that it just sounds like you're just constantly getting beat up. Has that been your experience, or has it been more positive than I'm making it out to be?
Well, I think for people that are wanting to do this, like, yeah, they need to be ready for that.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's hard, but it's fun.
Yeah.
So
I love that, man. Well, dude, this was a blast.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing the story of SAPs, how we got here. It's an amazing product. I'm not just saying that. Like I told you, I chugged 3 of them last week. Like they're so good. I'm excited to see where the brand goes. Oh, I was gonna ask you this. I forgot. What's like the grand vision for SAPs? Like where do you see SAPs going in like a year, 5 years, 10 years from now? Like what's the ultimate goal for that?
Yeah. So, it's good to have that stuff kind of figured out when you start a brand. Some people are like, oh, I want to be this global national thing. I want to be $1 billion company. I think this has potential to do that, but that's not necessarily the goal. Like the goal is to grow this in like regional markets. Really pour into those communities that we want to focus on. Hit a certain target and sell to a larger conglomerate that can kind of take this thing further than I can. Like I know I can get it from this phase to, the phase that we're trying to grow to, but I've never been a part of a company or grown something like way beyond that. And so I don't know if I'm the right person for that. So it's kind of operating within our limitations, but also knowing like, if we do this, we are going to be really successful, and it won't really matter if we're this, brand that's around forever, 10 years, that's everybody knows in the country.
You could take it that far. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. That would be the dream, right? Like, I think if my every single day was just like spent, hanging out with cool people, being active, playing sports, and that was kind of like my duties as CEO or whatever, like, hell yeah, sign me up. But also know that that's not the most realistic thing.
Right. What are you guys leveraging the most? Is it capital to try and grow this thing? Is it like, because I know media is a huge way a huge lever to pull. Like what do you think is your guys' biggest or most powerful form of leverage right now?
I mean, it all starts with capital. You got to have that to do anything. But we really want to build a word of mouth brand, and we want to leverage that, because that, once you start that snowball, nothing's going to stop you. Like that's the most powerful thing and the most efficient thing you can do. And we have a product that, because it's very functional, because it works, because people have had good experiences with it, that the more you create those experiences, the more you just kind of build that snowball.
Right. So do you think is that where the in-person stuff kind of comes into play to create that word of mouth?
Yeah, totally. I mean, the stuff we've done with you, like that's the kind of stuff that I think is what is really moving brands these days. Like we've been our news feeds are cluttered with ads all the time. Like that just doesn't work anymore. People want stuff that's real, stuff they can experience in person. And that's why we love partnering with, stuff that you're doing, the stuff that the all day running guys are doing. Like that fits who we are.
Yeah. When is Jordan going to start making TikTok videos? That's the real question.
No, not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Dude, you've got what it takes, man. I'm telling you.
I don't know.
You could be the next Mr. Beast. Instead of Feastables, we've got Saps.
Yeah, well, maybe if that's what it takes to make it happen, then maybe I need to start working on it.
Or maybe, I guess, Logan Paul and Prime would be the better analogy. You could be the next Logan Paul, Jordan.
Did you watch the Jake Paul Netflix thing that came out recently?
I saw the trailer for it yesterday. I haven't watched it.
It's actually pretty good.
I'm interested because it's like...
And I'm not fans of those guys, but it's actually pretty good.
I'm not either. Because I don't love the vibe they put out, but I gotta respect what they've done and what they built.
Oh, it's incredible. It's not necessarily what I would have wanted to build, but you gotta respect it.
And it's all through media.
Mm-hmm.
It's all digital content, social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. It's like that's like the 21st century way of building a brand. I feel like are we in the 21st century? That didn't sound right. Okay, whatever it is. Like that, the media, because it's where everybody's attention is at.
Yeah. I definitely have thought a lot about that, because we're not necessarily doing that strategy, right? Like I think we've talked about that. But there's definitely more than one way to skin a cat. So
yeah, that's right. And it's by Jordan making TikToks. What I eat in a day to run Saps, to CEO Saps. I can see that video right now.
It's a lot of tortilla chips.
Okay, well, whatever it takes, man. I love it.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding about that. I mean, if you're willing to kind of instruct me, give me some pointers, then maybe we'll see.
Oh, I'd love to. If you don't want to, just I guess hire people like myself. I'll make the TikToks for you. If you don't want to be the face of them.
There you go.
Well, I mean, step one, like you're doing the podcast right now.
Yeah, you got me out of my comfort zone, so it's good.
It's been fun, man. I mean, I've loved like chatting and like getting to know more. Honestly, most of these questions just come from like selfish curiosity that I have of like, how do you start a business like this? Because it's so intriguing to me. It's like, because there's no playbook on how to start a business. There's no playbook on like how to start a business like this specifically, and it's like you have to just figure it out, right? Like have mentors along the way maybe, and then we talked about just getting kicked in the ass constantly and get used to rejection, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of awesome people that help. It's not like everybody's out to get you. There's a lot of really, really cool people that either I've known prior to SAPS or like have been introduced and they want to be helpful. And it's like that to me is like one of the more rewarding things. It's just building relationships with people that are doing also really interesting things, that want to be helpful, that are willing to give their time to help you out. Have
you found people that'll like not be willing to help out, or not like want to share information and like have that kind of mindset, like that zero-sum game mindset of like, oh, if I tell you this information, then it's gonna affect me because you're gonna get a piece of the pie now. Have you encountered many people like that?
Not really. I don't think Austin is like that. we're all, there's just a lot of entrepreneurs out here, and we're all kind of trying to figure it out together. So I think most people have been super helpful.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like especially in Austin, it's rare to come across people like that. Like people here are so nice and genuine, and it's like a rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah.
It's like if I help you guys out, makes you better, it's probably going to help me and make me better too.
Oh yeah. Especially if you're giving it back too.
Yeah.
I think that's also a really fun thing as you make some progress on something and you get connected and you're like, oh, I've already been through this. Like, let me connect you. This will be super helpful. That's a really rewarding experience.
Do you have mentors that you work with that have like built up similar brands and you can like ping them and ask them questions of like, dude, I'm stuck on this. Like, how'd you guys work around this? Do you have people like that?
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. That's, I don't think I'd be where I am today if I didn't have those people. Yeah. So you got to have those people in your corner.
Yeah. It's like, you gotta surround yourself with people that are doing the things you want to do, right? Or like where you want to see yourself in like 5-10 years or however far ahead they are. That's essential, I think.
Well, and two, it doesn't even have to be necessarily in the space you're in, because there's plenty of ways, like for instance, raising money, like there's other things people can do for you that even if they're not in your space, like they can make connections, etc.
Right. That's awesome, man. Well, dude, this has been a ton of fun.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I know you're busy. I know you've got a lot of CEO duties calling, I'm sure. But I appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit about SAPS and the reasoning and the story behind it. I hope this thing just freaking goes to the moon.
I hope so too, yeah.
I think it will.
We'll see.
You guys are on the right track. So where's the best place for people to reach out or connect with you if they want to?
Yeah, so Joseph, who I mentioned earlier, he handles all the Instagram DMs. Reach out there. He'll get back to you if you want to talk more. You can go to our website, sapsoriginal.com, purchase some products, see where we are in store, if we're close to your area. So, happy to help.
Go check out SAPS. I'm not kidding. It's delicious. I love it. It's a great product. And I don't know, support a small up-and-coming brand. Like, it's a win-win.
Yeah, it's going to make you feel better, for sure.
I love it.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not like you're just helping out this lost cause business. Like, it's actually a good product.
Yeah,
so.
That's the other thing, too. Is like, it not only does it taste good, but it's like, it improves performance. It makes you better. All right, I think we've sold people enough on it. It's a good product. But, dude, thanks again for coming on. We'll see you later.
Cool. Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you so much for tuning into the show. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a review, and share it with a friend. We'll see you in the next one.